So you have investors like Josh Hart and Redick.
And they were actually one of our first investors in our first round, and it was a really cool engagement.
Did you expect it to be such a hit from the very beginning?
I really see InVintory being that ecosystem. Ultimately, we want the best and biggest database for wine in the world. Often people don't realize that you don't need as many bells and whistles as you end up building into a product. It took us a long time to realize this. We've actually had quite a few videos that have gone viral. We have 2 that are over 1.5 million views, and they get shared around quite a bit.
What advice do you have for newer founders out there just launching a product?
Here's a little tip or trick that we learned.
Hey, are you Josh Daiter, the co-founder and CEO of InVintory, the wine tech app trusted by 150,000 collectors, backed by NBA and NHL players, and packed with features like 3D cellar mapping and market valuations?
This is, yeah.
Whoa, okay, so here's the deal. So I got this bottle of wine in front of me right here, right? And I figured it was time to start my collection. And I might as well ask the guy who built the go-to app for wine collectors, right? It makes sense. And so that's what I'm doing. But then I started thinking, today I really do want to impact how you actually took this from a problem, just from something that your dad had, right? Something that's actually powering collections across the world, right? All over the place. So let's just start there. Let's start from the beginning. How did all of this get started, Josh?
Yeah, that's a great question. My dad's a wine collector. He actually was a serial entrepreneur in his past and a doctor. He retired. We teamed up together. I'm an engineer, and we said, you know what? Let's just build something better than what's out there. And we just got started with solving, one particular problem, which is where exactly is a bottle in my cellar. This kind of all happened after my dad dropped the bottle trying to find one, smashed all over the floor, and then we just got started from there.
Incredible. So when did you realize that there was a bigger market here? Like, it started off as this little thing and like a problem that you were trying to solve. How did that escalate so quickly?
Yeah, what's funny is I'm not a wine drinker myself, or I am now, but I wasn't when I first started InVintory. So I actually didn't believe that this was a big problem to begin with. And I was very skeptical, but we kind of just got started. And once we started to amass a user base, I started to see how passionate people in wine actually are. And then I started getting into it myself. And then it kind of just clicked for me. I'm like, oh, wow, this is quite a big industry and with a lot of passionate people.
Right. So what did the first version of the product look like? What was V1?
Oh, super ugly. In fact, we actually tried to build like a bottle finding technology using augmented reality, which we quickly realized just wasn't going to work because our customers could not use it.
So what kind of customers could not use it? What was the feedback that you got, and how did that shape the future of the product?
Yeah, it was way too complicated. Like, imagine giving someone in their 60s an iPhone and saying, go map your room and build an augmented reality version of your wine cellar, and then do all these steps. It was just way too complicated for them.
Did you expect it to be such a hit from the very beginning?
Honestly, no, I didn't. And this was kind of where we came up with VinLocate, which was what we have now in market, which is the 3D bottle finding technology. It kind of came from that failure of the augmented reality feature.
Right. And how did you decide how many features are too much? So obviously you guys have the 3D cellars, you have the AI tagging, right? You have the market value tracking. How do you know, okay, how much is too much?
Yeah, it's a great question, because often people don't realize that you don't need as many bells and whistles as you end up building into a product. And so we actually spend quite a bit of time figuring out, what can we actually remove from the product? And we know it's too much when people are just finding way too many pathways to do a singular thing, or they're just confused by the set of options. And when people are upset, we hear it.
Right. And you're technical yourself, correct?
I am, yeah.
So what's been the product decision that you've been most proud of? Whether it be a feature you took away or a feature you added, what does that look like?
Yeah, there's actually 2 of them. One was that transition from the augmented reality feature to VinLocate.
Got it.
That was kind of out of necessity because people just weren't going to use the augmented reality feature. That's kind of like the base or the backbone of the product today. And the second is, one day I kind of woke up one morning and I said, you know what, we should build an AI assistant for people to help them pick bottles and such. So then that's when Vincent was born, which is our AI assistant.
Why not, right? What was one growth lever that you were really proud of, especially in the early days when you're first getting going and you need to penetrate a big market with, plenty of competitors out there? How did you go to market with this?
It was actually quite simple, but it took us a long time to realize this. And it was just with proper, quick social media marketing. And by quick, I mean like hooks that just get you right away. So attacking the problem and saying, want to find your bottles, or you're missing out by not tracking these bottles, or how many bottles you're wasting by not knowing what you have, and then end up throwing them out. So just figuring out what actually drove people to use the product, and then creating marketing material and pushing that through social media as quick as possible.
Right. So user-generated content, right? Actually
Yeah.
leveraging what the users like and what they're using it for. Were you all leveraging the different social channels, Meta, TikTok? What was your biggest growth driver?
Yeah, definitely Meta and Instagram, like Facebook, Instagram. TikTok actually did not land with our customer base.
Right.
We're still kind of figuring that one out, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Right. So you have to optimize accordingly. So on these platforms, were you running paid ads, or was organic ever a big traction driver for you?
Yeah, both. So we are running paid ads. It's working quite well, but we've actually had quite a few videos that have gone viral. We have 2 that are over 1.5 million views.
Wow.
And they get shared around quite a bit. So that's still generating users for us.
Any secret sauce to what led those bad boys to go viral?
It's funny, we still haven't figured it out, but here's a little tip or trick that we learned. Always include something in there that are going to piss people off, because that's when you generate the most comments, and that creates that virality.
Interesting. Give me an example. What do you think pissed people off about the video?
So slightly mispronouncing something, or just a little bit of an off take on something will get people very stirred up. Like something that's debatable, that'll always work.
Are people coming in organic through the App Store, just finding you guys through your App Store optimization? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people have that high intent search. They want to search for something to help them manage their collection. And we've spent actually quite a bit of time on our App Store optimization as well.
Amazing. There's a lot of keyword research, optimizing that copy, that screenshots. Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Super important.
That really makes a big difference.
People forget. 100%. Love it. So you have a few tiers. You have free, you have premium, you have elite. Which one of those has been your most successful, and is there a reason that you structure it with 3 different tiers?
We actually started with free and premium, and we realized that actually people wanted that more white glove, I want to say elite experience.
Right.
So we invented elite as that solve for that, and that actually makes up about half of our revenue. So It's much more hands-on, it's white glove. We split our time between both.
What have you learned about pricing for some of these people? Given your market it's collectors, right? And obviously collectors, it's a lot of different types of people. Like, how do you go about pricing, and do you guys adjust pricing based on what you see working?
Yeah, we actually did for premium, we did a price test. So we ran about 4 different prices in market. We tested that over a few months, and we picked the one that performed the best. For elite, we actually build these cellars out all bespoke. So it really depends on the complexity of the cellar, but just a little thing that we do internally here is we sometimes take a look at the bottles that people collect, and then we understand what kind of price bracket we're playing in.
Interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys go B2B as well, correct?
We do, yeah, we do.
Incredible. So you're all over the place. Okay, so one of the last questions I have for you, and this is kind of one of my favorites. So you have investors like Josh Hart and JJ Redick. Super cool. I need the backstory. How did you secure them as partners? And what does that engagement look right now with them?
They first came to us as users. So they were using the product. We're really excited about it. And then we got in touch. We FaceTimed. And they were actually one of our first investors in our first round. And it was really cool engagement.
Incredible. So as far as those partnerships go right now, do you see those expanding, or do you see more of those coming soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're open to doing partnerships with people who are interested in the product. We love people who love wine. That's our number one thing. And, you know, we love sports. So the intersection of both are great.
Incredible. So Josh, this started back in 2019 as, your dad was looking for something to do. It sounded like he just got out of, was it private equity? You were in college still at the time, and you were going through the entrepreneurship thing. I did my homework, Josh. And so you dove right into this. So it's expanded a lot since then. Where do you see it going in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I really see InVintory being that ecosystem. So, everything from in restaurants to in private cellars, really becoming that wine collecting ecosystem all the way into spirits. I think we're going to expand there. We're also investing a lot into the social side of the product. So I can see that becoming a lot bigger. Ultimately, we want the best and biggest database for wine in the world.
Love it. Last thing for you, Josh. What advice do you have for newer founders out there just launching a product? Maybe they're still trying to figure out how to go to market. Maybe they're scaling and trying to figure out how to be profitable. What advice would you give to them?
Based on my experience, time to revenue is most important. So figure out that one thing that's going to generate your first dollar the quickest, and really double down on that, and don't focus on anything else.
Very valuable. Awesome, Josh. Well, really appreciate the time. I appreciate you taking the random FaceTime out of nowhere, and hope to talk to you soon.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you.
All right, see you, man.